guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Beth, and for today's video I'm very excited to say that I will be playing with these new Soft Pinch Matte Bouncy blushes from Rare Beauty. So this is their brand new blush launch. For some reason they put it as kind of a pre-sale on both Sephora and their website for just a couple days. So I picked up the shades Truth, which I think they describe as a plum shade. And not all shades were available. There were only like 4 out of the 7 shades that were available, I believe. So Truth is a soft plum, and then Hope is a nude mauve. The other shades that I think were available for early access, the shade Happy is a cool pink, and the shade Grateful is a soft red. So I purchased just these 2 initially. I then went back and purchased the other 2 in a different order. So I haven't received those yet, but I believe the official launch of this product won't be till March. So I kind of panic bought the other 2 before the early access window shut. But anyway, don't have those in hand yet. I thought it was interesting that she did kind of repeat some of the same shades that she has in other lines now. So in addition to picking up these cream blushes, I did also purchase the Soft Pinch blush in Hope as well. So this is the Radiant blush that came out in this compact. So I wanted to be able to swatch all of the different formulations of one of the shades at least. I do also have a little mini sample size of the, whatever these are called, the liquid blushes. I think this is supposed to be a radiant finish, so it'll be really interesting to see how the radiant finish compares to the matte bouncy blush formula. And I will have timestamps down below if you just like to jump ahead to a particular portion. So anyway, there are 3 different formulations of the shade Hope now. The previous kind of cream blush, which were these little kind of pebble packages, this was in the shade Nearly Neutral. And these never got quite the same love as like her liquid blushes. And mine looks a little wrecked there in the pan. It kind of came that way. And this is not a new product, but I just thought I would kind of compare a little bit what we had before. So this is the melting blush is what these were called. One big improvement, let me just swatch that on my hand there. So yeah, a little bit more of kind of a traditional cream formula. One thing that she did with this newest launch that I really like is the outer packaging varies by the shade, which is always something I like to see with a blush formula. So this is the shade Truth, and this is the shade Hope. So I think the packaging is really nice. It's a $27 price point, so really appreciate that they kind of went the extra mile there and changed the outer packaging. I think even for these products, it's kind of a mystery what the shade is inside. The liquid blushes, of course, you can kind of see through the packaging. Yeah, so that's a huge win. I was a little concerned that they might be a little bit difficult to open, but they're actually not difficult at all. So I think the full size of these, how they have that little tab on the top, a lot of people when they first launched were talking about, oh, it makes it easier to open, that kind of thing. I think that was more an unintended benefit rather than a design goal. But in any case, this is just kind of a standard plastic packaging. Some packaging like this can be difficult to open, but this one I personally don't have any issues with. I often prefer a magnetic packaging, but this one I think is fine. No mirror or anything, but again, for the price point, I think that's fine. And we're not getting mirrors in the new Charlotte Tilbury palettes, and I'm still going to pick those up, so you know, there's that. But yeah, I was really intrigued by this launch. I hadn't picked up any shades from the prior blush launch prior to these coming out. I just wanted to be able to, like I said, compare formulas for you. So anyway, that was the melting blush, I think it was called. So when these were announced, I was really intrigued by them because I am a big fan of a putty formula. I mentioned before that I picked up all of the MAC Glow Play blushes during, I think, Black Friday because they had a crazy, I think it was really a glitch sale, but I got those for like 60% off, so I picked up all of them. And the shade Blush Please here is my, I think, favorite blush period, really. Both the formulation and the color. So I did want to compare this putty texture to the new one from Rare Beauty, and these are both described as a mauve. I didn't see any other blushes in the Rare Beauty line that I thought would be maybe comparable to some of the MAC blushes, but if you do have any specific color requests. So it feels like suede is really what it feels like. Versus this one feels a lot smoother as I'm touching it. So that is the Rare Beauty and that is the MAC. The Rare Beauty has a little bit more pink to it. The one in the middle is the new Rare Beauty in the shade Hope. And the one on the bottom is the MAC shade in Blush Please. Of course, we have the melting blush on the top. I'll go ahead and swatch the shade Truth. Yeah, it's really interesting texture. If the shade Worth, which they describe as a rose, had been available, I probably would have picked that one up as well. It's probably best for my wallet, really, that they only released, I guess, 4. So we'll see how we actually like these. So as I said, I'm going to apply Hope on one side and Truth on the other. And I do have the Rare Beauty Soft Pinch Blush Brush, I think is what this is called. This is what they recommended for use with these guys, as well as their new liquid contour, which I have on. I kind of set my T-zone, but I left my cheeks bare as far as powder goes because I didn't want to affect the way that the blushes went on. I have a feeling that this is a product like the Mario Skin Enhancer where you could probably put it on over powder, especially if you're kind of using a brush like this and stippling it on. I think they have advertised that you can also use your fingers. And I think already that this is going to be more pigmented than the MAC. It's really pretty though, I do like that. And I do have underneath the NARS light reflecting foundation. I kind of wanted a foundation that was going to have like a decent amount of coverage so that you could get a true read on the blush shade without my skin kind of showing through too much. And also something that would give you, I guess, a good read of the finish. I do have dry skin. Okay, so I just wiped the brush off a little bit. And let's apply Truth on the other. These names kind of crack me up. I feel like we're living in a post-truth society. And I think hope is something difficult to maintain these days. So that is the shade Truth, which is pretty. I think I can get away with this shade, even though it's like the furthest down on the, I guess, swatch list. I thought the tone would work out well for me. And like with the MAC blushes, even the deeper shades, because a cream has a little bit more slip and there's more in the formula than just pigment a lot of times. I find it a little bit easier to wear a darker shade in a cream formula, for example, than like a powder. So there is Hope, and there's Truth. And that is on like an unpowdered base. I guess now I will go ahead, remove this side, and maybe I'll play around with some powder. Of course, my skin always looks a lot pinker than it does normally when I've been like rubbing at it, but okay, so I'm just gonna take a little bit of my foundation here and cover up what I just removed. I did set my under eyes, but hopefully that won't affect anything here. Okay, so now we're kind of back to ground zero here. So while I give that a second to set down, I'm gonna swatch this new blush, the whatever these are called, Soft Pinch maybe, and then the Radiant. And I might apply some of this kind of over everything just to see how it looks. Really smooth, kind of metallic finish. So those are the 3 Hope shades for reference. I think you could easily layer if you wanted to, and have that last one be more of a blush topper. Okay, so because I just have a little sample here, in the video where I compared this to the Charlotte Tilbury contour, I think I applied this directly to the cheek because I was trying to basically follow a similar application method on each side. But I'm just going to put some on the back of my hand and get it into my brush. I think that's actually a softer effect. I don't know if it's partly because it's radiant or it's liquid. Let me pick up some more here. Yeah, so I feel like once you build them up, they don't look too different, but I think the matte blush formula has a little bit more kind of payoff to it. So if you like the Rare Beauty blushes and for some reason they weren't pigmented enough for you, or you didn't like the finish, maybe these guys would be a good option. I'm gonna powder both sides. This is my Charlotte Tilbury powder. So that's what it looks like powdered. Yeah, not too different. Interesting. All right, so I'm gonna grab this brush again. I'm just experimenting, and I'm just taking a paper towel and trying to remove as much of the kind of residual liquid blush in there, like so. So I'm gonna go back in with the matte shade. I feel like I could have stood to have a mirror just for filming purposes. Realistically, I'm going to have like a desktop mirror, or if I'm traveling, I'm probably going to use like an eyeshadow palette mirror. So I think it applies over powder just fine, if that's how you wanted to go about it. And let's see what happens. I'm just going to take some of this directly, I think. So yeah, one of the things that always turns me off about liquid blushes is that because a lot of times you do have to dispense them onto a surface like your hand or a palette, or you can just run into some issues with them blending out well, depending on how careful you are. A lot of times I do prefer a compact cream blush like this. Or the MAC ones, for example. But unless you just have different preferences when it comes to, I guess, the way you apply your makeup, if you have one of these shades in the liquid blush already, I don't know that you need to purchase this. I think you can get a similar result, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so I'm gonna take my Rephr number 5 brush here, and again, just sweep it across a paper towel just to make sure there's not too much loose product. These did have a mirror, for what it's worth. So I just want to see what this does on top here. So definitely brings some luminosity to the cheek. I typically prefer just a dedicated highlight as opposed to kind of a luminous blush, but that is an option for you. Of course, anything that adds radiance to the skin is going to exacerbate texture and that kind of thing. So I think that's it really for this video. Like I said, I am expecting 2 other shades here before too long, the cool pink and the soft red shades. So I might do some kind of short form content around those. One thing that's nice about these liquid blushes is they do sell mini sizes of them as well, which are only $15. So that would be a cost savings there if you were just interested in kind of the shades themselves and less the packaging and formulation and that kind of thing. So if you don't already have the corresponding liquid blush, then I think these would be a good thing to pick up if you're interested. Otherwise, I think they might be a little bit duplicative of what you might already have in your collection. So I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If it was, please make sure to like and subscribe. And I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.